Hello friend, welcome to my video blog. It's Tea Time with Alex Gill, where I have casual conversations about big stuff with you. So last week I spoke about courage, one of the most important virtues, muscles that we need to develop in order to be successful in any areas of our lives. Since I spoke about courage, I want to speak about fear today and share a personal story and share with you what strategies I use and I recommend to you and to my clients of how to navigate through fear, because fear is part of our life. So what is fear? Fear is basically that emotion about it, that feeling of worry, anxiety. You might feel scared. So fear is the response that our body gives us in response to a thought. So I'm talking about normal fears that you might experience every day. Fear of not making enough money, fear of losing your relationship, fear of not being a great father, a great spouse. Fears that we really create right here in our minds. I am not speaking about that fear that saves our lives, that fear that will save your life if you walk in a dark alley and you sense somebody might be behind you and you better run, or the fear that you sense if you are hiking and running in the woods and you have this intuition that there is a mountain lion or bear around you and you walk back and head back to your car. That fear is there to save your life. So we never want to ignore fear. And fear is not about conquering either. Fear is about befriending, understanding. So again, I'm speaking this here particular about that fear that is more like an illusion. So an example of that, it's, let's say you want to quit your job and start a new career, quit your job to start your own business, and a lot of fear comes with that. And fear of not making enough money, fear of failure, fear of judgment and criticism, fear of rejection, right? So think of fear as that state of stress, worry, anxiety that a lot of people are experiencing these days. So again, fear is that physical response of either that something might be wrong, like there's a mountain lion on the trail, or it's responding from your thoughts. And the moment you start ruminating on those thoughts of worry and anxiety, you will put yourself literally in a physiological state of fear that will make you stressed out. It will block your creativity, it will shrink your brain, it will stop you from growing and learning. And again, that state is the same state of stress response. A lot of people say I'm stressed out, but what they really are is a state of fear. So a fear response and a stress response is exactly the same. They activate the exact same hormones in the body. Fear is just another word for stress and vice versa. Okay, so it's the same response. So as I always share with you, when you are in that stress response, in that fight or flight response, we're not the most intelligent people. We become very narrow and our needs become all in survival. So we want to prevent that. So that's the reason you want to become friends with fear. Why is it so important to be friends with fear? Because if you don't befriend your fear will end up paralyzing you and stopping you from living the life you really want. It's stopping you from creating the vitality and health that you always want and that you know you need in order to enjoy life to the highest levels. You need to befriend fear, so fear doesn't paralyze you when you want to quit a job that you hate. You need to befriend fear because if you want to fall in love and experience love with somebody, really open your heart to somebody, you're going to face fear, the fear of losing that person. So you need to befriend fear. You cannot deny, because fear is always riding in our shoulder. But the key is to understand and to not listen to the fear, to not give energy to that fear, because everything you give energy to expands. So I'm not speaking about denying here, I'm speaking about understanding and let it go. So the story I want to share with you today is the fear that I faced when I opened my business, for example. About 4 years ago, I quit a job that gave me somewhat security. It wasn't great, I wasn't making great money, and I was pretty unhappy, I was burned out. However, a lot of times we stay in a job because we're scared to change. And I never visualized myself becoming an entrepreneur, especially having a brick and mortar with an overhead, big bills to pay every month. And I had some deep conversation with my fear that time, the fear of failing, the fear of not being successful, the fear of not having the character of an entrepreneur, not having the skills in marketing. I was just afraid of being successful. So as I was having that conversation with my fear, I asked a bigger question to my fear. What is real the issue here? What is my biggest fear? And there was a fear that showed up that was much bigger than the fear of failure, the fear of not making money or having enough clients. It was the fear of being old and living with regret. The fear of letting 10, 15 years go by and I stay in a job that I wasn't in love anymore, and I would watch other people having the courage, taking the risk, opening the business, and I would be just watching that from the sidelines. That image of me watching people living their dream on the sidelines and me not living my dream was the scariest thing. So at that moment, it was very easy for me to decide I'm absolutely opening this business. It was an easy decision once I really step back and I look at the bigger picture of that fear. The fear of getting old and regretting something I didn't do because of fear scares me more than anything. And that fear doesn't paralyze me. That fear motivates me to show up big every single day and take risks. And of course, now in my 40s, late 40s, I take calculated risks. But I am totally okay with failing and succeeding because that's part of any business. To succeed in any area of your life, you're going to make many mistakes, many errors. So the conclusion is, fear really, that fear that we ruminate exists here in the mind. So you must take charge of your thinking and use fear to help you and not to paralyze you and stop you from living the life you want. Another big risk I took in my life was when I moved from from Brazil to United States when I was 26 years old. I didn't speak English. I had barely $2,000 in my pocket. And interesting enough, when I think about those days, it's nice to be young and naive, innocent. Some people might call it stupid, whatever you want to call. I was fearless. And not because I was anything special. I was fearless because, as I recall, I did not spend 1 second thinking what could go wrong if I moved to the United States and ran out of money, if I didn't know anybody, if I couldn't get a job. I didn't think about it. I was just so excited to move, and that's again the beauty of being young and innocent. I moved and then I dealt with things as they showed up. I think the difference as we get older, and I think it's a good thing to do, we calculate our risks a little more. And of course, some people calculate so much that they end up not doing what they love. They end up stopping themselves because they start ruminating in all the worry, all the anxiety, and all the things that can go wrong, but they forget to spend time on the things that actually can go right. So I'm sharing this personal story with you because if you are in a place of your life that you want to get healthy, you want to finally claim your happiness and really figure out what makes you happy and live the life you always wanted, because you're tired of being on the sidelines just watching other people changing, watching other people succeeding, take risks, and you're just wishing you were them. You are them. None of us have anything special. I'm not special. Your neighbor, the person you know that is healthy, successful, wealthy, it's not as special. We just have a healthy relationship with fear. And let's face what is really underneath fear for all of us. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment and criticism. You know my favorite question when I face any of those things? I say to myself, so what? I might be rejected. So what? I might fail. So what? It's repairable. Anything that you think of like the worst case scenario, if it's repairable, then do it, because you will learn, you will grow. There's no wrong decision. As you're moving, using your courage muscle, there's no wrong decision. The only wrong decision will be not to do anything about it and living with regret and remorse. Studies show over and over when they interview people that are close to dying and on old age, none of those people have shared that they regret things they did. They most regret things that they didn't do. They wish they had opened their hearts to a relationship. They wish they had opened a business. They wish they had traveled more. They wish they had taken more risks. So don't be that person. Whatever fear you're facing right now, have a conversation with your fear and move through with courage, love, and grace. Thank you for listening to my story. And if you want some help with fear, schedule a session with me, schedule a 15-minute call with me, and I can help you to dissolve this fear so you can feel free to live the life you always wanted, with vibrant health, with success, and happiness. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.